All right, if you guys know me, then you probably know I have a lot of children's books, and I love children's books, especially children's books about art, especially children's books about art and culture, and then even more so when they rhyme. That's just fun for me. So I'm going to quickly read you guys just a couple of pages of these two books, which were thrift store finds that relate to a lot of artworks in our Islamic unit. Okay, and as I read these, I want you to think about what artworks each of them can relate to. So red is the rug Dad kneels on to pray, facing toward Mecca 5 times a day. Gold is the dome of the mosque, big and grand. Beside it, 2 towering minarets stand. Black is the ink I use to draw the Arabic letters that spell Allah. Green is the Quran I read with pride. Grandma explains the lessons inside. Cone is the tip of the minaret so tall, I hear soft echoes of the prayer call. It's like explaining the vocabulary of everything we're talking about. Octagon is a fountain, its water so blue. I wash before prayers and make my wudu. Triangle is a mimbar's thin set of stairs. We hear a short sermon before Friday prayers. Look at the Macarena. It's the Macarnas. Macarena. Arch is the mihrab that guides our way. We stand and face it each time we pray. More Macarnas. Cube is the Kaaba, a most sacred site where Muslims worship each day and night. Okay, we're going to compare 2 different mosques together. The first is number 186. This is the Great Mosque of Isfahan, which is in Iran. I'm not going to try to mispronounce this, but I do know that this word with the J means Friday. This is considered a Friday mosque. So Friday is the day that Muslims would come together to pray. And so their holy day would be Friday. Islamic, Persian, 700, Common Era, stone, brick, wood, plaster, and glazed ceramic tile. All right, what type of mosque is this? So we need to be able to identify the different parts of a mosque. We need to be able to tell the different mosques from each other, and we need to be able to identify the different styles of mosques. We've already talked about the hypostyle mosque. So what type of mosque is this? How can we tell, and what are the clues? So I gave you guys a Khan Academy article in this Islamic unit where if we were in class together, we would talk about the common types of mosque architecture, and it goes over the 3 different styles. So this mosque, the Great Mosque of Isfahan, began its life as a hypostyle mosque. Remember, hypostyle is modeled on Muhammad's house, and then this was later modified by the Seljuks of Iran after their conquest of the city of Isfahan in the 11th century. So remember, once new ruling people come and take over, the architecture is going to change. There's going to be a new type of religion, and the architecture reflects that. So this is a mosque that has evolved over a period of time and reflected the artistic changes of each of those periods. Overall, this is a new form of mosque called a 4-Iwan mosque. So that's why there are Iwans, and that's why there are 4 of them. So one way you can try to remember everything: Iwan starts with an I, Isfahan starts with an I, Iran starts with an I. This is the Great Mosque of Isfahan in Iran, and it is an Iwan mosque. I don't know if that helps at all. Trying. All right, so what an Iwan is, it's a vaulted space, kind of like a niche or an empty space that opens on one side to a courtyard. So the overall layout is arranged around a large open courtyard, and then each side of the courtyard is punctuated with a vaulted hall, the Iwan. So either one of those works as far as describing the layout. So this is what it looks like. So everyone would be gathering in the courtyard, and then you would have these vaulted areas. And again, they also have that 3-pointed arch that we talked about with Cordoba. All right, so if you're in the courtyard, how do you know which way to face while praying? What are going to be some clues, right? We don't see a mihrab. We don't know where the Qibla is. We don't know where the Qibla wall is. So what makes this different is there's actually a Qibla Iwan. So the Qibla Iwan is what faces Mecca. So that's where Muslims are going to face while they pray. And they know that because it is the most ornately decorated. So it has the most intricate designs. It looks like it has the most blue on there. And that is the only Iwan that has minarets. The other ones don't have minarets. That one does. All right, so here's an aerial view. So you can see the minarets on that Iwan. And then the minarets, remember it's a tower where the Muezzin, M-U-E-Z-Z-I-N, I think, would call the people of faith to prayer. All right, Makarnas. Can you see that word up there? I'm actually doing the Macarena, you guys. That's the only way I can remember these words is by songs. I'm sorry, there's something wrong with me. All right, so Makarna are these like honeycomb-like patterns and designs that are sculpted into these niches in Islamic architecture. So we have examples with this building, the Great Mosque of Isfahan. So here's a couple of our different Iwans that have Makarnas. And then this example is from the Palace of Alhambra in Spain, which is an Islamic palace. And this is actually like carved and sculpted into the stucco. So let's define what a makarna is. It's a honeycomb-like decoration often applied in Islamic buildings to domes, niches, capitals, or vaults, and it resembles intricate stalactites. Like if you go into a cave and you see those growths that go up or that grow down, that's kind of what the texture is like. So makarna is very traditional Islamic cusped niches. So that's that design, intricate designing inside. All right, couple other vocabulary words. So the maksura is this room, this interior view that the College Board is providing for us is a maksura, and that is the special area reserved for the Sultan. In the maksura, you have the minbar. It looks like there's two minbars here. And minbar is the only piece of furniture I've learned about with Islamic architecture, because remember, when people are praying, they're gonna be on the floor on a prayer mat or a carpet or a rug. So the only furniture needed then is going to be a minbar where, I forgot the name of the person that is going to be reciting the Quran, they're going to be standing on that minbar. All right, and here's some other pictures that the College Board provides for us. So again, this is way better than this photo. The maksura is the special room that the Sultan will get to be in. And then here's a detail of all of the arabesque patterning. So arabesque is foliage, plant life, swirling curvy lines combined with calligraphy. So it's the arabesque designs used inside Islamic architecture. It almost looks like Celtic designs done on the illustrated manuscripts. All right, so what comparisons? What are you seeing that's similar between Cordoba on the right and Isfahan on the left? Right, they both have a courtyard. They both still have hypostyle hall. So Isfahan started as a hypostyle hall, and it still has that. All of those circles represent columns. It's just the layout is different. They both still have three-pointed arches. So with Isfahan, the three-pointed arches are on the Iwans, and then in Cordoba, there's arches all throughout. It's in the dome above the mihrab, and also on the outside view on those arches, there's some three-pointed arches. All right, last thing about Isfahan, it also inspired the architecture of Taj Mahal with that two-story arcade. So remember, an arcade is where you have repeating arches. So two-storied or double-storied arcade influenced the architecture of Taj Mahal. All right, Mosque of Selim II in Edirne, Turkey. The architect's name is Sinan the Great, 1568 to 1575 Common Era, brick and stone. All right, so on the left, I have Hagia Sophia, and then we have Mosque of Selim II on the right. Here's again an overview of the context we just got out of the Ottoman Empire. And remember, they're the ones that converted the interior of the Hagia Sophia from a church when they came and conquered Constantinople and then turned it into a mosque. And they added those pencil minarets, those really thin minarets that we're also seeing in the Mosque of Selim II. What we need to know is Sinan the Great, that's the architect, his goal was to surpass the grandeur of Hagia Sophia. So the function of this mosque, as well as being a mosque, is that it was built as a symbol of the Ottoman power by the Sultan Selim II. So the Sultan is the one that commissioned it. He is the patron. All right, so this is built in, how do you say that? Edirne. And this is the first major city that Europeans traveling to the Ottoman Empire would have reached. So this was the Sultan's opportunity to use architecture to impress the Ottoman Empire's greatness upon visitors, right? So as you dock, as you enter, you see the tallest thing in the city are these pencil minarets, and then you see the dome, and then you see this mosque. So again, architecture reflecting power. And it also functioned as a mosque, and this was the Sultan's Friday Mosque. All right, so here's the plan. And here's the different parts that we need to be able to discuss and recognize that's part of global architecture for mosques. So there's a mihrab, there's the qibla, that's the direction you face, there's the prayer hall, there's the courtyard. There's also shops along the side, and I don't think I labeled it, but these two squares on the top, the left and the right, are both schools. All right, so since Ottoman architects were influenced by Hagia Sophia, they did not use the 4E1 plan like the Mosque of Isfahan that was really popular in mosque architecture at this time. So again, on the left, we have the plan of Hagia Sophia. So you should be able to compare these two with similarities. So the Mosque of Selim II is a centrally planned mosque because it's based on Hagia Sophia. It has a perfect fusion of a square, an octagon, and a circular dome. So you can see here, there's a square, right? And then there's the octagon, and then there's the circular dome. Sinan the Great boasted that his dome was bigger than Hagia Sophia's dome. Apparently that was a big deal. The mihrab is visible from any location. So that's an innovation with this mosque, something new. More windows in this mosque allowed for more light than any other mosque at this time. And remember, we're trying to exude power. So the mosque was placed on the tallest hill in the city to appear larger and visually symbolize Islamic dominance over Christianity. And there's that view again. And then, like I said, those pencil minarets are very characteristic of Ottoman architecture. All right, now we're going inside. So what does this inside view remind you of? What have you seen here? What are you looking at that you've seen before? And then how can we say that this is Selim II's mosque and not something else? So if you look at an interior view of Dome of the Rock, it's really similar to Dome of the Rock. It doesn't have all of the gold that Dome of the Rock has that was built in the Byzantine time period, but it has those alternating voussoirs, right? The different color stones that's happening in those arches. Same thing as the Mosque of Cordoba. And actually the colors that's happening in the Mosque of Selim II is the same colors as Cordoba. Now we have a lot of Islamic characteristics, right? Where you have calligraphy, we have arabesque patterning, which is floral and calligraphy. We have clear story windows happening along the drum of the dome. It's hard to tell if those are clear story windows or not. They look like stained glass. Also, Dome of the Rock, you can see calligraphy, you can see arabesque patterning. There's also mosaics on the inside. Dome of the Rock has a big rock on the floor, right? So we don't have the rock that's on the Mosque of Selim II. So I think I have a picture. Here it is. So this is, instead of a minbar, this is kind of like a stage or a pillar that the person that is reciting or chanting would be standing on. And then these are, it's like a lantern that is hanging very down low that's almost going around this platform. And then here's a look up at the dome. So again, that's the fusion of the square, the octagon, and the dome. So these 8 pillars go around, and then they look like pendentives, but these are squinches, which is so similar. There's also makarnas on the squinches. We talked about makarnas with Isfahan. So I looked up the difference. What's the difference between a pendentive and a squinch? Because when Hagia Sophia was built, the brand new innovation and the way they were able to sculpt that was by making pendentives, which allowed for that dome to be in that centrally squared placement, right? A pendentive is more elegant, like a spherical triangle. A squinch is more basic. They're basically the same thing. Anyways, but in the Mosque of Isfahan is where they have makarnas on the squinches. So it's a lot more intricate, a lot more elaborate, a lot more decorated. There's even makarnas on the capitals. Here's just another illustration to show you the difference between a pendentive and a squinch. All right, so here we have the Dome of the Rock on the top left. Bottom left, we have Hagia Sophia. And then on the right, we have the Mosque of Isfahan. So again, these are all really similar. We need to be able to tell them apart. And then we have 3 floor plans here. So what are the names of these 3 different mosques, and what are the different plans? So on the left, you have Cordoba, and that is the hypostyle. And then in the middle, you have Isfahan, and that's the 4 Iwan. And then you have Selim II, and that is the centrally planned mosque. Also, another hypostyle is the Mosque of Jenay. And then again, if you look at the pictures of these 4, we also need to be able to remember how they are different from one another and how they're the same. How are these continuing global mosque traditions, but how are they all different from each other?